ହେଲା କି?
Good morning, everyone. So let's start the meeting with the universal invocation. O hidden life, vibrant in every atom. O hidden light, shining in every creature. O hidden love, embracing all in oneness. May each who feels himself as one with thee know he is therefore one with every other. Let's observe silence for a couple of minutes. Come back. So I welcome all of you to this Sunday morning session. And this is the first YIT session of 2024. So our speaker is Brother Pradeep Mahanti. And the topic is Science of Consciousness. So let me introduce Brother Pradeep. He is a graduate in civil engineering from NIT Rourkela. Then he did his post-graduation and PhD, and then executive management from USA. He teaches statistics and operations research in Utkal University and Xavier University, Bhubaneswar, to students of MBA. He has authored books on these subjects as well. Now he is a visiting professor at Kanpur University. He is a member of Katak Lodge, Utkal Theosophical Federation. So let's welcome Brother Pradeep Mohanty. Over to you.
Good morning, everybody. My dear brothers and sisters, I thank you all for giving me this opportunity to speak something about science of consciousness. Today's topic is a very important topic, and I'll show you some PPTs, PowerPoint presentation slides, and basing on those slides, I'll slightly elaborate one by one. So let me first share my screen. So today's topic is this science of consciousness. Okay. So before I start talking about science of consciousness, let us know what happens to a child when he is first born. See, in this particular slide, a child is born. Then gradually he grows up. Then he looks around the world. What is there inside, outside the world. Then again, slowly he grows up. Then he starts observing. Observation is the first interaction of the child with the outside environment. He observes. That is what is the child's first interaction with the outside world. He observes. But what is this observation? See, there are two great revolutions that came in 20th century physics. One is called Einstein's theory of relativity and quantum theory. We will not discuss much of this subject, just slightly, slowly, I'll tell you. They revealed that this observation plays a very important role. And they also challenged the assumption that there is a material reality. Previously, it was thought that physical reality existed independent of our observation. For example, see this one. This man is looking at the moon. So moon is existing because man is looking at it. Okay. Suppose, coming to next slide, see, man is turning back to the moon. So can it be said that moon is not existing because man is not looking at it? Okay. This is what the 20th century research scientists, they told, that moon may exist, may not exist. There is a probability that moon can exist, moon cannot exist also, because man is not observing at it. There are two scientists named as Schrödinger, Erwin Schrödinger, and Professor Heisenberg. The very famous physicists, Nobel laureates. Even Heisenberg was the PhD candidate of Niels Bohr. You might have studied in physics, plus two physics or high school physics, atomic theory. Who developed this atomic theory? Niels Bohr. He was his PhD candidate, Professor Heisenberg. They revealed that the physical reality may not exist without the observer. That was the first revelation by the two great quantum mechanics scientists. Okay. So coming to next slide, see, let us know what is this material world. Okay. So in this material world, say, let us say, take any matter, any matter, let's say piece of wood, piece of iron, piece of clay, pot of clay, anything you take. Then you cut it down, cut, and come to the lowest possible size, you'll get molecules. Then again cut it, you'll get atoms. Again cut it, you'll get electrons revolving around it. Then at the center is the nucleus comprising protons and neutrons. Then again protons and neutrons, you'll see quark model, they call it quarks. Then again quark, you come to the string theory, strings. We will not go detail in detail of it. Slowly we will go. And this electron, I will talk about electron. See, these are the proton, neutron. Proton is positive charge, neutron is neutral. Electrons are revolving around it. Very tremendous speed, high speed. That is, speed is around 2,200 kilometers per second. That means in 1 second, an electron can reach from New Delhi to Bangalore. 1 second. So it's, suppose you tie a rope to a red ball and revolve it by your hand, you rotate it. What will happen? As the speed increases, you'll see that as if a red ribbon is moving. So you cannot exactly say at which location the red ball is existing at a particular period of time. It's very difficult to say, because it seems to exist at several places at the same time. Similar thing with the electron. The only thing you can say for sure is that the electron is not in one place at that one time. They seem to exist in several places at once, and it is fundamentally uncertain where exactly the position of an electron is, because in that after that the term superposition came in physics. Superposition means they exist at several places at the same time. Superposition. It is in quantum physics. So let us come to next slide. You see, in order to again explain this superposition, this is Schrödinger cat. Schrödinger was the 20th century physicist. He explained this. Suppose there is a closed box here. Box is totally closed. No outside interference. No information can come from outside to inside, and also no information can go from inside to outside. There is a radioactive element here. Radioactive element means it starts decaying. It releases atoms. And once it releases one atom, there is a pulley arrangement here. This rod will fall down. This is a thought experiment. It was never conducted practically. Just a thought experiment by the Schrödinger. This rod will fall down. Then once this falls down, there is a hammer here. Tied to a hammer. Hammer will fall on this glass jar, glass beaker. Then this upper surface of this glass bar will break. And there is a poisonous gas here. Let us say potassium cyanide. Gas will be released. Once the gas released, then this cat will die. Okay. So you cannot say at what point of time this radioactive element releases this atom. The decay starts. It is not possible to say. It may take 1 second, it may take 1 hour, it may take 1 year, it may take several million years also. Okay. So what is your reaction when you are outside it? Because you cannot know anything inside the box. No information can be passed from inside to outside and even outside to inside. So what you will say? Your mind will say that the cat is both dead and alive at the same time. This is called superposition. Okay. So your mind will say that yes, cat may be alive, but cat may not be alive. This is called Schrodinger's cat experiment, thought experiment simply. Okay. So let us come to the next slide. See, so as a result of this experiment, what happened? Several physicists of the time like Einstein, Niels Bohr, Erwin Schrödinger, Arthur Eddington, Wolfgang Pauli, they're all great Nobel laureates. They became interested in the role of mind and consciousness that played in cosmos. But their interest gradually faded away over time. And few contemporary physicists, they seek to include consciousness in their model of reality. And most attempts to understand the world of modern physics still assume that the primary reality is the physical reality of mass, energy, space, time, all these things. So consciousness is generally regarded as a product of brain activity. Okay, something that is emerging from the physical reality, right? So, but in this particular presentation, I will argue that consciousness is a fundamental quality of the cosmos, and that what we call the material world emergence from consciousness, right? So first, I will discuss about observation, then I will tell something about human eye, how the eye operates, then how the information goes to brain, then what is matter, physical matter, then what is life forms, how life form developed, and at what point of time the consciousness enters into life form, right? With this series of arguments, I will establish my theory, right? So please give me patient hearing slowly. Please follow my chain of arguments. See, if you are going to talk about consciousness, we should first define what we mean, because this is not easy, partly because we are using a noun which makes consciousness a thing. And in so doing, we are setting foot on a wrong course, because consciousness is an abstract noun which arises from an adjective. Rough, let us say rough surface, rough is the adjective, its abstract noun is roughness. So red ink, redness, soft body, softness, like this. Lonely man, loneliness, abstract noun simply. So, see, for example, let's say whenever we add ness to a word, we turn an adjective into an abstract noun in order to talk about it. And the suffix ness means state or a quality of something. Suppose say these two persons are very happy, they look very happy. So happiness is a state of being happy. But being, let's say, happy, it itself exists as an experience. But happiness as an independent thing doesn't exist. Okay. So see, so same thing with consciousness also. It does not exist as a thing. What is true is that I am conscious, as it is with every one of us, and it is an essential, ever-present quality of all experience. So noun consciousness simply allows us to talk about the fact in a more generalized way. In this respect, consciousness needs no definition. It is self-evident. I am aware, that's all, I am aware. The simple fact, it needs no argument, no reason, or no research, and it is beyond doubt. And the distinction is essential to any study of a subject. The use of the noun consciousness is symptomatic of the materialistic approach, which seeks to objectify the world. Consciousness becomes another phenomena to be studied and known, and this error is prevalent in most contemporary approaches to understanding the nature of consciousness. Okay. So, and the second important distinction is between the faculty of consciousness, being aware of any experience, and what we are aware of, the sensations, perceptions, thoughts, feelings, and other phenomena that arise out of our experience. And I shall refer to these things as forms that appear in consciousness. Okay. Come to the next slide, you see. And these forms are clearly dependent upon brain processes, obviously. And I'm happy to assume that for every subject experience, there is a corresponding state in the brain. And it is commonly assumed, and this implies that the faculty of consciousness is likewise a consequence of brain activity. And this stems from it is a conflation of two different questions. Number one is, does the brain create the forms of which we are aware? And number two, does the brain create the faculty of consciousness? So these are two easy and hard questions. And I'll argue that the answer to second question is no. Okay. So let us know something about this brain. This is just a picture of brain. This is the skull. Inside this, the brain is there. And this is the larger picture. This is called a frontal lobe. This is parietal lobe. This is temporal lobe. This is optical lobe, occipital lobe, and this is cerebellum. This is the spinal cord. All the nerve buttons from different parts of the body, they enter through the spinal cord, and it's just the brain. From here, somewhere here, it is the visual cortex region. Okay. Coming to the larger picture, you see. Yeah. So now our experience of the world is a representation of reality created by the brain. The picture which we have saw now. Contemporary science has little problem with this statement. In a sense, the senses respond to stimuli in their environment, pass the information along to the brain, where it is analyzed, processed, and a model constructed of the world out there. And this representation of reality then appears in conscious experience as a 3D, full color, surround, touchy, feely world that we know. Yet, the full implications of this construction process are seldom explored. And we shall see that it leads to a radically different understanding of the true nature of the world out there, undermining the assumption of material reality. Okay. Now let us see how the eye actually works. See, this is an apple, green apple, and the little girl looks at it. What happens? The rays coming from the apple falls on the eye. Then something happens inside the eye. Then some electrical impulses goes to the brain. Okay, and you see that this is the world out there. Coming to larger picture, see this one. This is a green apple. Rays from the top reaches the bottom of retina. Rays from the bottom of apple reaches the top of retina. An inverted picture is created in the retina. Okay, this is not the real picture. Then some electrical impulses goes to the brain and then to the visual cortex region. Then brain analyzes and processes these things, and then he constructs its own reality, that is the apple. Okay. Next one, you can see here this same thing. Same, I am showing in a different picture. Also, you can see here also. See this one, the rays from the top going to the bottom of retina, rays from the bottom going to the top of retina. Inverted picture is over here. Then the picture is formed. So path, this is the path that light travels. Light from the above strikes the detectors on the bottom of retina. Light from the left strikes the detectors on the right of retina. And each of those detectors is linked to an individual optic nerve, which connects it to the brain's visual cortex. So there is no complete image formed on the retina itself. The detectors on the bottom of retina are linked via the optic nerve to an area in the top of the visual cortex. Top to bottom, left to right, and this image assembly occurs in the brain's visual cortex, not on the retina. Okay. See this one. What is happening here? This is a tree. The rays coming from the top and bottom reaches the eye, then falls on the retina. Then on the retina, an inverted tree is formed. Then it is go to the brain. In the brain, some processes is occurring. Then final image here, that is the final image. This we called world out there. Okay. Okay. So now coming to the next slide. See, but what happened? We assume that the representation that we experience is much like the world out there. This is the picture of Immanuel Kant, is 18th century great philosopher. He told that the thing in itself, he termed it as thing in itself. But it turns out that the two are totally different. Because take the color green, for example. In the physical world, there is light of a particular frequency. Frequency means, let us say this one is the ray of light. Let's say this the electromagnetic spectrum having different frequencies. This is the lower frequency, then gradually go to higher frequency. Okay. And our visual spectrum, when we see around the world, falls within this region, having sort of frequency only. Red color, green color, blue color, violet color. These are all rays of certain frequency, not the color itself. The light has no color itself. Okay. So not the electrical impulses that go to the brain. They also don't have any color. And the green you see is merely the representation that appears in consciousness. Okay. There is no green out there. Same is the case with other senses like hearing, smell, taste, touch, etc. The phenomena we experience do not exist in the world out there. They exist only in our awareness or consciousness. So I am not suggesting that the physical world doesn't exist, only that it is very different from our experience of it. We mistake the representation of reality. Okay. Let us understand something about the matter. What happens to the matter? How is it? See, there is a scientist, you must have studied in plus 2 physics, Ernest Rutherford. Take the case, this is the any matter which I showed you in earlier slides. Molecules, atoms, nucleus, electrons moving around. This is the model, quark model and string theory, electrons. So this atom, he did an experiment, he proved it practically in the laboratory that it is 99.9999999% empty space. Very interesting theory. This is the atom and it is so much emptiness inside it. Matter is nothing but empty space only. See, and if you remove this empty space from atoms of all the people on the earth, the entire human race could fit in the volume of a sugar cube only. Very interesting fact. He proved it practically in the laboratory. Okay. See what he did actually. He sent the alpha particle. Alpha particle is nothing but some rays. This is a gold foil. He bombarded this alpha particle onto the gold foil, and most of the rays they entered straight. They went away. They released. They traveled through the foil undeflected, and this signifies that the atom is mostly empty space, because through empty space the alpha particle can flow, and some alpha particles they deflected by small angles, because the nucleus is positively charged, alpha particle is positively charged, so there is a deflection. And occasionally some alpha particle they travel backward, because a nucleus carries most of the atom's mass, so there is a rebound here. Okay, this is the experiment conducted by Sir Ernest Rutherford. See, the same thing I'm representing in a different picture. Alpha particles, series of atoms packed close together, all are passing through the atoms of the matter. So much empty space is atom is, and very few are rebounded back, and some are even deflected like this. Okay, so most of them are passing through the gold foil. It signifies that atom is mostly empty space. And same thing also here. See, any matter you take, it consists of atoms. Atoms is nothing but nucleus and electrons. The electrons are protons and neutrons. Then the quark model. They're all empty space only. Okay. And see, the matter, actually the same is true of the concept of our matter also. our experience of the world includes that of only solid substances. But physics has revealed that this is far from true. More than a century ago, it was realized that the atoms were largely empty space. The apparent solidity we experience is due to the bonds binding atoms together in the molecular structures and the corresponding forces holding molecules together. The strength of these bonds makes it almost impossible for one physical structure to interpenetrate another, which leads to the perception of solidity. Okay. So with the advent of quantum theory, what happened? It was realized that even the subatomic particles were far from being solid particles that we had earlier imagined. They are more like Fuji clouds of potential experience. Whatever matter is, it is not made of matter. Okay. Matter is not made of matter. So after all, how these matters have come to existence in the first place? There is a hypothesis called Big Bang. Let us see how this matter came into existence. It is a model only, hypothesis. Nobody has proved it. This Big Bang theory. See, this is the Big Bang. Okay. Earlier, before the creation of the universe, everything was merged into a single point. It is called singularity. Then suddenly, expansion occurred, not explosion, expansion. By some reason, expansion occurs. And what happened during the first few seconds? Something appeared. Then after 3 minutes, something appeared. After about 300,000 years, these things appeared. Then after about 1 billion years, then the stars, galaxies, planets, all this found. Then after about 14 billion years, life forms occurred on the cosmos. Okay. This is the Big Bang theory. And after this found, see, then again you cut and see the through the electron microscope, any matter, you'll see some fuzzy clouds, all very fuzzy things. I mean, nothing can be visible, all very hazy. Fuzzy, it's called fuzzy clouds. The picture from the electron microscope, same thing also. You see the pictures, any matter you take to the minutest level, you'll observe these type of structures, things. See this one, same thing. Okay. So as if there is nothing there, right? See, so the deeper we've studied the physical world, the less evidence we have found for anything physical. It sometimes seems as if there is nothing there, or there are, rather you can say no thing there. The concept of thing as a discrete object is likewise derived from our experience, from our awareness. Okay. So we have to conclude that physical reality is nothing like we imagined it to be, or we could imagine it to be. Okay. So now come to next slide. See, let us say, so there is anything we can say for sure about the physical world. What can we say? It is non-homogeneous. Why it is non-homogeneous? Say, let us say the part of the world I call my finger. My finger is here. My finger is here, and the part of the world my finger is not the same as the air that surrounds it. Okay. So one is solid, another gas. One is opaque, another transparent. So looking deeper, the structure of nerve cells also is different from that of the blood cell. So at a much finer level, what is proton, it is also different from that of the electron. So it is a non-homogeneous world, right? Okay. Now coming to next slide. See, we may not. This is the picture of how the cosmos developed from quark model, proton, neutron, electron, atom, cells, living, non-living things, Earth, solar system. So we may not know what the cosmos is made of, but we can say for certain that it is highly differentiated from quark model to the multiverse or universe theory. At all levels, from quark to galactic clusters, it is very non-homogeneous. Okay, so next slide you see. But this variation or the homogeneous discontinuity, this constitute an information only. We cannot say what an electron is, but all we know is various bits of information, because anything has a mass. Even electron has a mass, it has a charge, it has a spin also. These are all physical terms, physics terms. So don't worry for that. These are the quantities we do not know what exactly these are. The names are once again projections from our experience. We can measure them. At least we have have some information that the probabilities of what we might measure, that you can do. And perhaps then all you can say about physical reality is that it is a highly structured field of information only. Okay. See, this is the our sense organs respond to changes in this information field. Okay. And the information is conveyed to the brain, where it is processed into a flow of information only. That is a reflection of the information in the world out there. Okay, that's why there is a roach here. Some information is coming through the eye, then coming to brain. It is processed here. So this is the, after processing, we perceive that there is a world out there, there is a roach out there. And this flow of information in the brain then appears as information in the consciousness. Okay, and these are the forms we experience, like these colors, shapes, sounds, smell, textures that we are aware of. This is simply how the information is translated into an experiential form, right? Much like how the information in the CPU of a computer is translated into an image on the screen. Okay, so the information has been given form in the awareness. We could say it has informed experience. And these forms appears to us as the material world. But this material world exists only in our awareness. It is our way of making sense of the information. The virtual reality created by the brain. Matter as we know it is all in the mind only. Okay. So the stuff of which the matter is made is not the physical stuff, but a mind stuff. That is consciousness. Right? So coming to next slide, see, why do some information processes in the brain give rise to an experience, while others have little effect? The new approach is that is called the integrated information theory. It suggests what seems to be critical is that there is not only a complex flow of information, but an integration of the information from many different processes across the brain. And this integration is reflected in our experience. When I see a flower, I perceive its color, shape, movement, size, everything in an integrated in a single whole. However, this does not mean that the integrated information gives rise to conscious experience itself. Only that the integrated information is responsible for the forms that appears in consciousness. Okay. So now see, there is a problem also here. The hard problem of consciousness is that why is there awareness in the first place? How do physical processes in the brain ever give rise to something as immaterial as consciousness? Why does all this activity just go on anyway without our ever being aware of any of it? So this is a huge conundrum of for contemporary science, and it is easier to explain how we evolved from than it is to explain why we are here aware. And a test of any scientific theory is how well it predicts the things are, the way things are. Yet there is nothing in our current scientific overview that predicts that any arrangement of physical matter should ever result in an inner conscious experience. Okay. And the current materialist worldview is so deeply ingrained in our thinking that we seldom question it. Instead, we keep looking for ways to try and explain consciousness in material terms, right? So let us now know something about our evolutionary tree. This is our evolutionary tree of life, starting from, let us say, pretists to protophytes, then coelenteroids. These are all zoology and botanical terms, so don't worry for that. Ultimately, we reach at a man, human being. This is the coming next slide also. See, these are all botanical or zoological terms, from small bacteria to archaea, then coming to eukarya. Eukarya means cellular bodies, have cells and cell walls. So at which point of time, at what level this consciousness evolved in the evolution tree? Can anybody say? Can we say? See, next picture, see this one. This is the evolution tree. So where can I draw a line that the consciousness evolved at this particular level, this particular uh, flow of development of life processes? Okay, so let's say the matter is insentient, whether here or here or here. At where do we draw the line that this consciousness developed? Okay, so let us know something about that. So there is a second problem with this approach also. If consciousness emerges from insentient matter, then at what stage it appeared? Whether it appeared from a bird, from a fish, from vertebrates, because their nervous systems are structured in similar ways, or with an octopus or spider or worm, where do we can we draw the line? And the problem is that wherever we draw the line, we find ourselves once more up against the hard problem. Because how is it that one side of the line, physical matter, does not produce an inner experience, whereas the other side, it produces? That is the main problem. Okay. So can I say that let us have no line at all? Can it be said that there is no boundary of development of consciousness? So it is assumed that matter itself is insentient. It is totally devoid of any experience. And this assumption lies at the heart of the hard problem. Okay. And there is an alternative approach. One thing that is being explored by a growing number of scientists and philosophers is that the capacity for experience is present to some extent in everything. It does not suddenly appear out of nowhere, as if by magic. Once some particular arrangement of matter has emerged, experience is there all the way down the evolutionary tree, right? So, see, and if this is so, then consciousness is not limited to creatures with nervous systems. Even a small or simple cell has a faint glimmer of awareness. Nothing like the rich experience we know, nothing like a thought or a feeling, but not nothing at all. Okay. So from this perspective, there is nowhere we can draw a line between conscious and non-conscious entities. So consciousness per se is not a product of evolution. The capacity for experience was always there. So what has evolved are the forms that appear in consciousness. Okay. And if there is nowhere we can draw the line, then there must be a trace of consciousness, however slight, in molecules, atoms, and even in elementary particles. It may sound strange, but it does not mean that atoms and molecules experience the world like we do. There is probably no representation of the world at this level. For a representation to appear in awareness, there needs to be some integrated processing of information. And this probably does not appear until the level of cell, where the chemical systems that maintain the integrity of the living system lead to sufficiently complex information processing. Okay. So in this respect, the emergence of life and the emergence of experience are intimately connected. And they are two aspects of the same thing unfolding, right? So come next slide, see. So, we cannot say there is absolutely no trace of consciousness at molecular or atomic scales. Otherwise, we would once again have to explain how experience could emerge from that which has no experience. So if there is nowhere we can draw the line and the capacity for awareness goes all the way down, then that capacity must be an intrinsic quality of the cosmos. So there is one more thing we can say about the world out there. It is not only a highly differentiated field of information. The field has to be the potential to be aware. Okay, it has the potential to be aware. So at first sight, this might appear to lead to a dual aspect of model of reality. There is an external physical aspect of everything, and there is a corresponding internal conscious aspect. However, the more we try to discern the physical aspect, the more we find there is no thing there. And could this be pointing to the fact that there really is nothing there, that there is actually no physical aspect? Such a suggestion challenges a major assumption of the current paradigm that there is a real physical world. And this assumption has been challenged for 100 of years now by the advent of quantum physics. But so far, we have refused to consider where it might lead. So it does, however, satisfy. There is a theory called Occam's razor. Occam's razor is William Occam. He said that if you have two competing ideas to explain the same phenomena, you should prefer the simpler one. So the dual aspect model carries the assumption that there is a physical essence to the world, despite all the evidence pointing to its contrary to this opposite. But there is a monistic theory or monism of consciousness that involves no such assumption. And so would be the preferred interpretation that's called concept of Advaita Vedanta, no duality. So it also obviates any need to identify a relationship between the external physical aspect and the internal conscious aspect. There is no duality. Okay. So this monistic interpretation says that the information field is aware and that it is all there, all pervasive, which we may call Brahman. In Bhagavad Gita also, Lord Krishna says, Nitya Sarvagata Sthanu Achalam Ayam Sanatanaha in chapter 2, verse 24. Even in chapter 13 also, Akhara Brahma Yoga is telling, Vahi Antaha cha Bhutanam Acharam Charam Evacha. In Chara and Achara, both material and movable, and living and non-living, both I am there. So sufficiently complex structures in the field respond to the information detected in the field around them. And from that creates their own representation of a physical world. Then this appears as a material form in their awareness. And this is happening at all levels, from the simplest forms of life to the most complex forms. Each has its own particular representation of the information that it detects, each experiencing its own particular construction of the material world. And the entire cosmos is a vast field of knowing itself, creating for itself the appearance of physicality. Okay. So next slide, see. If consciousness is everywhere and the essential nature of everything, why don't we see it that way? Why do material objects appear totally devoid of consciousness? So looking for consciousness in the world is a bit like studying a movie, looking for the light. The light is not there in the movie, but the movie is made of light. Light is compared to consciousness, movie is your material world. Okay. So all we know of the world is a picture of it appearing in the consciousness. The picture could be said to be constructed from and in the consciousness, but the picture itself does not include the consciousness. Okay. So consequently, there is no trace of consciousness in our experience of a material world, right? So this is why it is easy to say, to assume that the world out there is insentient. And why the hard problem arises, we imagine the world out there is like our picture of it, that is devoid of consciousness. It would seem that the very opposite is true. The world of our experience, the only world we directly know, appears to us as material objects with no trace of consciousness. The thing in itself, which we never know directly, is not made of matter, but is aware. And recognizing the fundamental role of consciousness turns reality inside out. And the essential nature of the cosmos is mind, not matter. Okay. So this is not a new idea. Several philosophers and mystics have come to the same conclusion. However, it has never been taken seriously by modern science. But if you take it seriously, what happens? What you do? Nothing that we have discovered in modern science changes. Mathematics works just fine. The laws of physics also are still valid. all our discoveries in the chemistry, biology, and other science also holds true. What changes is our assumption as to what the laws refer to. They are not laws of the unfolding of the physical world of space, time, and matter. They are the laws of the unfolding of a self-aware field. Okay, self-aware field, right? So it may provide new insights into the perplexing problems in the modern physics, in which observation seems to play a critical role, right? So we are currently trying to understand these problems from a worldview that focuses on what is observed, but does not include the observer. A worldview that includes consciousness as fundamental, rather than seeking to explain it away as a consequence of brain activity, may offer fascinating breakthroughs in these perplexing areas. And the monism of consciousness, a worldview that sees everything as a play of consciousness, does not preclude such phenomena. Okay. So it might offer valuable insights into our own inner nature. Science and spirituality, they're often seen to be at loggerheads. This is largely because we erroneously assume them to be describing the same world. The essence of mysticism is the inner exploration of one's own consciousness, a realm into which science has not ventured. And time and again, we find that those inner explorers who have delved into the nature of experience itself are all pointing to the same conclusion. My innermost essence is the essence of everything. In the words of this Upanishad, or Chandogya Upanishad, I am that Tattvamasi. Okay. And finally, I conclude by saying a verse from Srimad Bhagavad Gita, which I am very fond of. In chapter 10, verse 22, Lord Krishna is telling the Indriyanam Manachasmi Bhutanam Asmi Chetana. I am that consciousness, that living force. With this, I conclude, my dear brothers and sisters. Thank you for giving me an opportunity to talk something about consciousness, and the floor is open for discussion. Thank you, everybody. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, brother. It was a very insightful talk, and thank you. And you explained everything like science, and you related everything. I mean, all the science, botany, zoology, whatever. So some things I couldn't. I mean, it was difficult for me, but still, it was interesting. And you connected everything to the consciousness and how things. And thank you so much. So now we are open for discussion now. So anybody has any questions for Brother Pradeep? You are welcome. Anybody? Vimalji?
Yeah, actually, I didn't hear the whole of it, but I'm not sure whether Brother Pradeep covered this aspect that there is no consciousness without matter. So consciousness and matter arise together, and there's no matter without consciousness, and there's no consciousness without matter. So this is a very important aspect. Consciousness doesn't exist by itself. So that's only one point. Thank you.
Thank you, Vimalji.
Okay, in this aspect, I would like to tell that as you saw that matter itself doesn't exist. That means matter has no real existence. It appears to exist. That has been proved by the scientists, because you see that consisting of atoms, molecules, atoms, it has almost 99.99999% empty space. So matter has no real existence. They appear to exist. What we are seeing is just a reflection of our consciousnesses. It is our perception of reality that this is the matter. But the matter itself has no existence. whatever what has been proved by the scientist only. I'm talking from scientific perspective. Okay, but we see the solid substances because of the bonding of the atoms and molecules. The strong intermolecular interatomic forces is there. It is very difficult to interpenetrate them. But in fact, if you see at a deeper level, it has no real existence. It is our perception only that this is the matter, this is something like that, is that. Even the colors, you take any pancha karmendriya can say pancha, this touch, smell, taste, vision, anything you say, it is our perception only. It arises from our consciousness only. That is my view. And it is pervading everywhere, all the entire, because Lord Krishna himself telling that, and the charam acharam evacha, it is there everywhere, as if it is pervading everywhere. This consciousness is everywhere, it is there. There is no duality about it. That is also proved by the Advaita Vedantist, Shankaracharya, which we may call Brahman.
Thank you. Anybody has any questions or any ideas to share? You are welcome. Shinde sir is there. Sir, do you want to add anything?
No, just Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you. Sir.
Happy New Year, sir. I will love to listen from others regarding this aspect, their views.
I think nobody has any questions or anything to share. So I think we should close the session with a closing prayer. Asato ma sadgamaya tamaso ma jyotirgamaya mrityorma amritam gamaya sarve bhavantu sukhina sarve santu niramaya sarve bhadrani pashyantu ma kaschit dukhabhag bhave. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Thank you everyone for joining, and thank you Brother Pradeep again for the nice insightful talk, and we will meet next Sunday same time with new topic.